Good morning, everybody. I had a moment there where I didn't think we were going to make it. Some of you all know I'm doing an appeal for my youngest child who's not got into the same school as his brother. So that meeting was overrunning slightly, and then technically, but my camera wasn't working. But here we are, hooray! At Middle Earth Readings here on the 4th of July 2022, bringing you the planetary movements through the wheel of the year, through the runic wheel, what they mean, how the way in which the planet resonates within the energy of the rune affects the flow of weird, of our collective weird, provides us with opportunities. It makes suggestions for wisdom in terms of the way that we might want to act, where we want to have our focus at any particular time. And for those of you who are here live, you can share your rune of the week as well, and we will have a look and we will see how does your personal rune, so you can think of that as being the representative of your personal weird at this point, how does that work with what's present energetically at the macro level. So that is what we are doing today. I also wanted to say, it's just technical blips. I feel as if Odin is emerging slowly, but we still get a few little technical issues with things every now and then. For those of you who receive Suna's Star Wheel, which is where we provide you with all of the planetary movements for your month ahead, and there is our Sacred Play Journal that comes out as well. That was late. It has now come, so you should receive that in your email. We apologise. I moved over to a brand new system for hosting all of our email and communications, which is fabulous and wonderful, but teething problems. So apologies for that you should now have that in your inbox. So what do we have for the week ahead? So we've got two planetary movements that we're looking at. We've got Thor is moving into Ewaz. I'll have a look and see if I can find Ewaz. So we've got the might and power of Thor. And Ewaz being the rune of partnership, the rune of the steed and the rider, working together. You could think of that as being the partnership between Thor and his hammer, Mjolnir. This partnership of thunder with Thor and lightning with Mjolnir. You might think of it as the partnership that he has a chariot that's drawn by goats, and the goats are. It's said that when he's hungry, he kills one of the goats, eats it, and then he blesses it with his hammer, and it comes back to life the next day, which I think is rather a nice giving partnership on the part of the goat there. I'll work on what the goat's receiving from this other than Thor's mighty company. But it does also remind me that there are times when Thor travels alone, where he is seen as this sort of lone figure with his hammer, the last bastion of defence, for Middle Earth and Asgard in particular. And we're also told that he alone of all of the Aesir is strong enough to wade through the waters that run around Asgard. Everybody else has to cross the bridge by frost, but he can go through the waters. But there are also times where he works in deep partnership, particularly with Loki when they go out. And what he's counselling us through from the 5th of July, when Thor's chariot comes into play, through the 20th of August, so a reasonable period of time that we've got to play with this energy. He is reminding us that we need both the courage to walk alone, sometimes we have to do that, and the wisdom to work together. So it's thinking about what that means for you in your life, very much in keeping with the energy of the Ewaz rune, which comes at it's in the last 8, the last family of runes. So we're looking at that sort of integration piece, that bringing together of all of the different strands. And Ewaz, here we go, here's Ewaz, it reminds us of the synergy of opposites, and how when we work to be able to move from one into the other, to take a different role depending on what's needed, to be able to flex and adapt to whatever the situation provides. That's when we are able to fully harness horse and rider, you see, the power of Ewaz. And Thor is telling us that he's giving us an example of the way in which he does that. So that's coming up, and we've got a nice period of time from tomorrow to play with that energy and think about, when am I being asked to step into courage, to follow the call of my heart, to stand in integrity, to sometimes be the person who speaks when nobody else does, the person who acts when nobody else does, the person who takes the first risk. I'll take the first risk, I'll apologise, or, whatever it might be, I'll be the first to stand up and say my piece. And when to work together, when to ask for support or to offer support, when to recognise that actually it might be that the puzzle is completed when your answers and somebody else's answers come together, and that's where you're going to produce the greatest results. And if you look at Loki and Thor, although they are often seen as like not getting on very well, they obviously do, because they spend a fair amount of time together. And I always think of this Thor, sort of big, maybe a little bit slow moving, because he's hefting the hammer, and the big booming voice. And then you've got Loki with this much more sort of slighter figure, tends to not, whatever his weapon is, you don't see it, not like Mjolnir. So there's Mjolnir, he's Thor's there going, here is Mjolnir, tremble before me. Loki, no, the way that he induces fear, respect, whatever it is through the unknown, the unknown of what he's going to do, what he's going to say, whereas Thor is the known in many ways. This is the boundary, don't cross it. Loki's a bit like, where is the boundary? And it's when they come together, they're pretty much unstoppable. And then we have Odin's chariot moving into Fehu. So we're in the half month of Fehu. Hooray! Well, I just have Fehu ready to show you, and I've moved it because I was looking for Ewaz. So Fehu, as soon as chariot has moved into Fehu, for many ways for me it feels like a new year. Not in more in the sense of like a snake and its tail, that sort of continual cycle, and it's just this moment where we go, we're beginning again, and we move out of those quite complex energies of the third eight, of bringing things together and of recognizing, this person thinks this and this person thinks that, and how do we synergize everything together, and how do we move it, and I'm feeling a little bit stuck right now because there's so much out there, so much complexity to manage. And then the first eight comes back in, and it's very primal, very the essence, you can feel the essence of each of these runes much more strongly. It's not saying that they don't have nuances within them, but energetically, Fehu is one of the easiest runes to tune into, with that sort of golden, life-giving, luxurious, flowing energy, that we can really, really feel it and get to know it and feel it in our bodies. So we have returned to Fehu, and Odin's chariot is going to move into Fehu on the 9th. So we're going to have a lovely bringing of consciousness to the Fehu rune. There's a sense of intentionality when we're working with Odin's chariot, a sense of maybe sort of not necessarily always taking action, but holding mindfulness, holding intention. And so if you think about that in combination with Fehu, you might think about Odin and Freya working together, the way in which Freya's magics are very different to Odin's, and she teaches him save, and he, I believe, teaches her Galdra, and they find this synergy. So very similar in many ways to Thor's chariot and Ewaz. There's a nice, interplay of the two. But what Odin is asking us to do is to bring some real consciousness to that Fehu energy, and to start thinking about, where does this show up in my life? A little bit of, where's the inspiration for me around Fehu? Where's the, what could I do that might be a bit more analytical and thinky about this in some ways? Because Fehu is a very embodied rune. We feel it in our bodies. One of the things that I'm really I'm having a bit of fun with is I was reminded that Odin, one of the gifts that he and his brothers give to the first man and the first woman when they're created is blooming hue. Of course, he gifted them breath and blooming hue. And I was thinking about this and thinking, of course, that's like the blood flowing through, and that's like, hold on, stop. That's quite an important piece there. If you think about, the breath being the runes, the ability to speak, to manifest, to bring into being, to tell story, all of those things. I was like, why are you just going blooming hue being, the ability to blush? No. So I've been thinking about this and thinking about the way that we colour our runes when we create them, thinking about colour magics, colour healing. And so I've been having a lot of fun researching colour, and recognising that I know nothing about these things. I look at something and I buy it because it's pretty. I'm like, oh, that's pretty. But Odin combined with Freya, and if you think about Freya and her presence and her magnificence. And she does not see the time spent and personal adornment as being wasted. Now, often for a lot of us, we can see it that way. Either we think, oh, that makes me very materialistic, or it's frivolous. You know, those are the types of things that we can think about. And yet human beings have been doing this for, you know, since we were able to find a feather and, you know, put it in our hair and go, oh, you know, that we are inspired, empowered, energized by colour, by vibrant colour, by texture. You know, all of those things they have energetic resonance for us. And so when I thought about blooming hue, it reminded me that there are these you know, schools of thought where you can say, you know, what are the person's colours, what are their colours, and it's all to do with the tonality of your skin tone, what is in your hair, the colour of your eyes, and then you can look at the shape of your body and all of this sort of stuff. So I've been doing a bit of research on that, which is quite fun. And I was thinking, oh, I might do a bit of thrift shopping this week to apply some of those ideas about saying, you know, what would I choose to honour my blooming hue, to recognise the magic that exists inside me, and to feel resonance with what I'm choosing to put on the outside layer, you know. So I'm playing with that, and I can still, you know, I don't know if you can feel it, but I'm still feeling some uncomfortableness about that because of the fact that it's like, surely that's all frivolous and you know, but that is definitely a pushing out of my comfort zone into I think there are some deeper magics here that I might be missing out on because I'm, you know, being a bit judgmental about it. So I made a promise to myself not to be judgy this week and to let myself enjoy. So yes, anyone any recommendations for local charity shops where I can look at soft autumn tones, apparently the way forward, let me know. So that's my play, let's call it, my sacred play. And I do, you know, always encourage people to work with the energies of their runes and work with the energies of the runes that are available for us through the astrological wheel, through sacred play. You know, not through taking it too intensely seriously, or not through thinking of it as like doom, I'm doomed, but rather of thinking, you know, how can I bring play to this, play with the mind, play with the body, play with the spirit, to allow myself to loosen and flow with wyrd. So I leave that with you. Let's have a look and see what people have got. I want to get through well today because the appeal, we have literally, we're supposed to have a 2-hour window, and I thought I can fit in Middle Earth readings in that. That's great. No, they've given us something like a 50-minute window. So where are we? Erica, lovely to see you. You have Bacano for the week. That actually fits really nicely in with what I was just saying about Fehu. There is a, you know, both of the runes, Fehu and Bacano, they have an essence of the divine feminine within them. And where Fehu brings that sense of like vital colour, let's think about it as hue. I mean, the word far means like to sort of dye or colour, comes from Fehu. And then Bacano is, Loki is associated with Bacano, and it's often related to the external appearance or the ability to shapeshift. Which brings in the energy body as well. You know, there's some people who arrive, and they don't just arrive, they arrive. You know, and you know that they are there, and they resonate with that energy. You know, they've got a very strong presence, a very strong energy. Working with Bacano helps us to work with that energy field. So that interplay between the way that we are feeling and our energetic boundaries and what we are wearing and the colours that we're choosing to place on our bodies, whether they are seen by people or not, also affect our energetic field. And Erica, I know that that's something that will really strongly resonate with you because of the sacred embroidery work that you do. So I wonder whether that is almost an invitation to play in that space and to feel how the partnership between you as the creatrix and that which you have created, and when you wear them, how that then changes you, like energetically, and what it does within your energetic field, and to bring some presence to that and some play to that could be really fun. Marie, you've got Ingus, which I happen to have to hand. Here's our Ingus rune. It's sometimes alternative form. It's often called Inguas, Ingus or Inguas. Linguistically, they were not able to tell like which one was correct or whether our ancestors called them both. We don't know. but sometimes it has little spokes at the bottom and the top, so it looks a bit like a DNA helix there. Contained energy for Ingu. So this for me is about preserving your energy. As Odin is, emerging with Odin's chariot, he's going to go quite fast now. After we've spent ages in Ingus, the progress through the next set of runes is going to feel very fast for Odin. It's almost like he's gone, freedom, after a long period of going, I'm here and I'm in Ingus. For me, there is a reminder for you around, as the current of the energy starts to get faster, and you're like, oh, it's like, don't get overwhelmed by it. Use the Ingus rune to keep yourself, keep that container. Maybe you could use the Ingus rune, you could literally, like on a piece of paper, draw the Ingus rune and do things like writing your intentions, or writing the things that you want to keep sacred, writing the things that you are wishing for at this point inside the Ingus rune, and putting it up on your wall or something like that, so that you are bringing presence to what you have already decided on, and you're not allowing that faster Fehu energy and that moving pace of Odin's chariot to draw you off track. It can also be the case with the Ewaz rune. The Ewaz rune is a rune of speed, so Thor's energy is quite grounded, but when he needs to, he'll be like, charge, and it's suddenly it's going much faster. What's happening around us is going much faster. So Ingus is offering a space for intentional containment. So maybe use that. Felicity, you've got Issa, so you've also got a little bit of a natural resistance coming through, and I can see that Lisa's got Uruz as well, and Chen has also got Easter. I'm just scanning down. So to partner with the faster flowing current that we will now be experiencing as Odin's chariot picks up pace, as we have Thor's chariot and Ewaz, it's going to couple with that Perfro paradigm energy that we've got with Hela's chariot. There's a lot more freeing up of energy and a lot more moving forward. So Felicity, you've got Issa, and so does Chen. And that's more about stillness inside. So whereas with Marie, we've got the intentions on the outside, with Issa, it's that stillness on the inside. I'm just feeling into that for you a little bit. There's a sense in which the Issa rune is able to appreciate what's happening around it and to say, oh yes, how lovely that the flow is moving faster, and I can allow all of the colour to permeate the ice and to create like a rainbow prism around me, and isn't that lovely? And yet I am still and centered, and I don't move. The light moves through me, and it's produced. This prism effect is produced because of that. So it's inviting you back into stillness, back into mindfulness, back into presence each time. A certain level of rootedness. But I'm just feeling a distinction here between the Issa rune and the Iwaz rune. So with Iwaz, I'd be saying, like root deep into the earth. Issa, not so much. There is a sense in which it's recognizing where you are already connected. So what is that? I am. We're talking about the sort of I am mantra, which we can use for Issa. We can use it for Manas as well. But for Issa, that sense of where am I already rooted? Where am I already anchored? There is no need for me to stretch, to meet other people's demands, expectations, to go faster than I want to. I can just allow that to flow through me. And those words of appreciation, oh yeah, that sounds amazing, are sometimes all that's needed by another person. If you feel that sense of them saying, I want to do this, or I want to do that, I want to move forward. You don't have to match their energy. You can instead say, wow, that's great, that sounds wonderful. And allow yourself to reflect that back at them rather than taking it inside. So you can use the Issa rune a bit as a mirror, or you can use it to just say, actually, I'm just going to reflect back at them. There is no expectation on me to match their energy, or to move faster, or to do anything different to what I'm doing. Issa calls you home there. Lisa, you've got Uruz. So again, Uruz actually is quite a nice mediator between Thor and Ewaz. There is that earth energy that Thor responds really well to. And actually, as I'm feeling into this for you, Lisa, I am feeling that sense of stability, and that is provided through partnership with the earth, where yes, there might be lots of fast-paced stuff going on, but if we look at what's happening with Mother Nature, she is following her own pace and her own rhythm. She don't care what's going on in the human world, you know. She's doing her own thing. So it's that invitation there for you, is that partnership with the earth as a to provide a rhythm that's more sustaining and more supportive, and ultimately more powerful for you at this point than the swifter Ewaz rune sort of fleeting through, you know, and running amok a little bit. Uruz is less easily ruffled, let's say. You know, if you think about we've been talking quite a lot about the aurochs actually in the heart space and like various other points, and I know people have been bringing research that they've been doing about them. I do not claim to be an expert on, you know, the habits of the aurochs, but that sense of which, you know, the primary urges are to feed and to procreate. That's probably what I'm going to spend most of my time doing, says the aurochs. Not, you know, like fighting with human beings or being hunted or any of those things. I will when I want to. You know, if you annoy me, maybe, but most of the time, I'm just doing my own thing because I'm driven. You know, I feel very strongly my connection to what's important. And Uruz is saying the same thing, and it's saying, remember that when you connect down into the earth and what's happening around you, it will anchor you and ground you. And again, it's I think very similar to Felicity and Marie to a certain extent. Some of your runes are coming forward to help to manage that faster pace. So for you, looking out on what's happening and feeling into that gentler earth-based rhythm and not allowing yourself to be hijacked by other, you know, human form made rhythms. Suzanne comes with the collection Rado for you. So again, interesting, given that we were talking about rhythm quite a lot. So you've been given Rado, the rune of the road, the rune of rhythm, the rune of ritual. And I know already that Suzanne, that you obviously are starting to make some really strong intentions and to move them, like pin them around the wheel of the year, and you do the sharings with your inner rune and the outer rune, and it's saying that structure that you are creating, that and the ritual structures that you create are important for helping you to maintain momentum, you know, to travel the road, and they will also stop you from being hijacked by other people's rhythms and other people's energies. And that's coming through like very, very strongly for me at the moment. And I think it comes back to that piece around Thor and Ewaz, you know, the courage to step forward and to follow like my own destiny, and when to work together with other people. And it's the sense that the Rado rune, or, you know, the Isa rune or the Uruz rune is offering itself as the first like together piece, like together we will move forward. So for you, it's the Rado rune there, Suzanne, that's calling. And if you think about that, what I was talking about with Odin and Freya, the sentence that came to me for, you know, the words of power that came to me for Odin's chariot and Fehu were passion ignites passion. That sense in which, when we might not feel the sort of the full inspiration in the moment, but we take that first step. You know, I've agreed I'm going to be doing this, it's the half month of this, I'm going to be doing that. We take the first step, and that kindles the flame, and then more is available to us, and that kindles the next flame and the next flame. And that's how you follow your own path. Whereas if you go, no, my path, I'm going to rewrite my path, it doesn't work, no, you get hijacked by somebody else's, or you don't move forward, or you think, oh, I'm not passionate enough or ready enough or courageous enough. And it's actually just like that first step each time. And that ritual structure is what's coming forward to help you. When you have Ewaz, so really feeling into that energy with Thor, that partnership. There is a certain level of surrender with the Ewaz rune to the current. So whereas with we've had with Rado and Isa and Uruz and Inguz as well, there's an anchoring that's being provided. With Ewaz, there's a sense of surrendering. And it's surrendering to your intuition, surrendering to your instinct, surrendering to your inner knowing, your body knowing, your deep knowing self. Looking for those moments of connection for you in the day where you're able to do that, where you think, yes, you know, so for me, You know, I use my Sun Rune to do this, to sort of surrender to myself more fully, to surrender to my heroic destiny more fully. I chant my Sun Rune. You know, it's Lagu, so I do it in the shower. It makes sense. So that's something that you might think about. You might see, you know, that Ewaz is saying, get in touch with your inner rhythm, open to your intuition by creating those moments of connection that make you feel more you. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to give you with. Think about the Sun Rune, but if there's something else that comes to mind for you that works better, you know, for some people, you know, it's drumming or cooking, you know, whatever it is, something that makes you go, yeah, I really feel like me when I do this. I really feel free and alive and complete and whole, you know, in this moment. That's what you're going to be wanting to tap into to help you to navigate the energies that are coming. And Diane, you also have Ingus, so I'm actually going to say the same for you as for Marie, and add into that, it's that this is your focus in the Ingus rune, and everything else is distraction. And it's having that discernment to be able to say, yes, this is part of my Ingus seed. This is part of the intentions that I'm holding at the moment. And no, this is a distraction. It's not bad. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It doesn't mean that there's, you know, it wouldn't be great, but it's a distraction. And feeling into that and really starting to trust that is what I'm sensing to add on with where we have with the Ingus. Then, am I getting these right? Rhoda for Suzanne, Ewaz for Rana, Ingus for Diane, Uruz for Esther. Okay, so we've done Uruz already. Esther, is there anything else that the Uruz rune wants to say? I think it's just calling on a little bit of stubbornness sometimes there, Esther, you know, a little bit of tenacity, not always being like, no, I won't, but just not, you know, if you know what I mean. That's fine for you to be making a fuss and a drama about that. You know, it's similar to Felicity's Issa. But whereas a Felicity's Issa, it's inviting that reflection back, or is this sort of saying, we don't really need to, do we? You know, I'm just going to go and do my own thing. I'm not bothering you, but I'm also not immovable. I'm not immovable, I am immovable. That's what I meant to say. I am immovable, I'm doing my own thing. Why have I got these wrong? I keep reading these wrong. Lagu San, Rhoda for Suzanne, Ren for Ewaz, and Ingus Diane. That's what's happened. Ren has got 2 runes. Ren, confusing me in Suzanne's list. Okay, Ren, I'm going to have to leave you with Ewaz and Ingus. Apologies. Okay, so Diane, you have Uruz. Maybe the distractions piece might be a little bit for you, but then there's the Uruz piece about just moving. You know, that's a distraction. I don't need to tell anybody. I don't need to sort of make a fuss about it or anything like that. I'm just going to move off and do my own thing. Okay, Diane, I think you're sorted there. Let's work on the basis that Ingus and Uruz are important for you, Diane, as well, and that Ren needs to do a bit of thinking about that Ewaz and Ingus partnership there. Esther, you have Lagus. There is still some independence with the Lagus rune, which is perhaps, you know, the Lagus, Uruz has Lagus within it, and they're both healing runes. So I'm going to be okay with them as, you know, a little bit of partnership going on between the two. Definitely that influence of the natural world. It's that call to expansion a little bit, and aloneness and replenishment and rejuvenation. So it might be that with the Uruz is the power to turn away, and the Lagus rune is the power to then connect into what you really need. There is a little bit of similarity with Ren and her Ewaz rune there of feeling into your own energetic signature and allowing that to come through. And again, I think that it's just, in this case, with the Lagus rune, it's offering, whereas the Ingus rune there is a boundary, can be clear boundaries. You know, this is inside Ingus and this is not. Lagus tends to, you know, filter and blend and go, you know, merge with the other and then come back again. And it's sort of saying that's okay, but choose what you're going to merge with. So I think that's maybe where the Uruz came to sort of say, you know, there's a bit of a group thing going on here of those, that's not for me. I'm over here, and I've got my boundary and I'm safe, and then in the Largus moment I'm able to fully relax and be safe. And again, that surrender piece comes up, surrendering to the waters, you know, allowing them to cleanse you, allowing them to heal you. But it's creating that safe space for that to happen that I think is important. So maybe why I just couldn't read Suzanne's sentence. And then Hannah, you have Ansus, which just feel a little bit different there. There's that, I can feel the excitement, the anticipation of Odin coming through there. He's sort of all saying, paint the skies, Hannah. You know, go out brightly daubed in war paint, and let your creativity flow through everything that you do. You know, it's going a bit wild, if I'm honest here. It's sort of saying, yes, when you make your dinner, arrange your plate in wild, signs and symbols. Do it for me, Hannah, says Odin. There is a real playfulness to this. There is a whipping of the wind and a desire for change and freedom and something new. You know, I was talking about playfulness and the idea of sacred play. It's coming through really, really strongly here. A bit of mischief is coming through as well. Playful, gentle mischief. What can I do to bring a breath of fresh air into this? You know, even a little bit of silliness. You know, silliness has sparked many an invention and many a new way of being within this. So whereas with Esther there is this gentle sinking down into the energy of Largus within a safe, contained space. With Hannah there is a, you know, being not the trickster, more like the fool energy. You know, when people think that they're the fool and then they're really, really not. Reminds me of like Yoda, other types of, you know, when the acolyte comes and they're like, I'm looking for a great master of the mysteries, and this person goes, or whatever it is that they do, and you know, and then you find out that they're a great teacher. It's in that sort of sense. It's the fool and the magician piece there. So playing with the fool and the magician, and recognizing that the more silly and playful you are, the more wisdom is available for you on the other side there. I feel like something's missed out there. I might come back. Let's see if Uruz comes up again. Hagalaz for Patricia. Hello, Hagalaz. So I'm seeing Hela with Hagalaz. And there is, again, maybe because, you know, often they come together in packs, these runes. You know, there's always a reason why people's runes come up at the same time. And there is a playfulness, but I'm seeing it not through Odin, but rather through Hela, who can often be deemed to be quite serious, you know, but I do not believe that is always the case with Hela. She is, you know, the fact that she has duality within her, she's sort of living half of her and a half of her that looks like a corpse. She's, you know, this great queen, and she can seem quite austere, quite challenging in many ways. But she is almost saying, and yet, even, you know, within me there is that duality, which means that there is the interplay between the fierce and the fragile, the purposeful and the playful, the very serious and the sensual is what's coming through. It's like the mind and the body. And she's saying, yeah, look for that in me. Remember, you know, Odin, he's there with his eye patch, you know, and his eyes under the well, and he has this half and half face because of that. And Hela is the same. She echoes that within her, this asymmetry of the body that allows for duality to come through and be embodied. So I think for the Hagalaz rune there, Patricia, there's a sense in which we can hold our hard edges and our times when we need to be, you know, open to the cracking of the worlds. And we can also do that very gently and very caringly, and be soft and nurturing. And we might not have the ability to, like Hela, you know, embody both of those things at the same time, because, you know, she has one half of her is one thing and one half of her is the other. But we are able to move more elegantly and gracefully between them, and to say, okay, in this situation, in this context, I know that this is what I want to achieve, but I also know that it'll be easier if I bring that a little bit of this as well. So when I do leadership coaching for a lot of my clients, and we work energetically on the different archetypes that you can step into, there are times when you might have that sort of Adinic, articulate, poetic, influencing self, and there are times when you might have that more sensual, more inviting self, and it can be very subtle how you make those changes in the moment. And there's a sense of like persuasion, and it's reminding you that to be the change maker is not always to be one who breaks. It can be one who bends, or one who persuades, or one who influences, or one who invites. So it's just looking at all of the different facets of Hagalaz. If you think about it as a three-dimensional shape, how can it bring change? How can I be a change maker in the moment? What's needed right now? Darren, you have Bacano. So we've done Bacano, thinking about the interplay with, particularly the interplay with our energetic body and our physical body. So I'm going to invite you to feel into that sense of shape-shifting, and perhaps to actually do a little bit of looking at your own body and that work of, without using words, how can I convey my intentions in the moment? This is one of the mysteries, that Bacano is offering to you at this point. So look at what I've said about Bacano already, but also think about, when I stand in the mirror, how can I use my body as an instrument for communication, but also for subtly influencing the energies around me in the moment? Could be really powerful for you. Trish, you've got Suelo, so we've got the movement of the sun traveling across the sky, drawing you on. Again, we're moving back into that rhythmic piece now, and for you it is that taking a pause each day, acknowledging, I think really getting into tune with things like, I know when the dawn is, I know when the sunset's going to be, feeling that the heart center opening of the Suelo rune. We can use it. I think that you were at a couple of the were you at a couple of the workshops that I did? I think you I'm sure that we've done this before, using the Suelo rune and seeing that sort of gold, drawing the energy of the sun down, and then opening the heart to it, and trusting that the action that you take, using that as a guide. And again, it's about stepping into your own rhythm. Jen, you have got Algiz. So this is more about, whereas Suelo, we're trusting from the heart, Algiz is a little bit more from the receiving third eye, from the divine, from readings that you will be doing for yourself, from tapping into your guiding spirits and that which you look for guidance and support and help, and really honouring that and knowing that you are protected. And there is almost a sense there, as where I've been talking to people about different strategies for navigating this faster energy, there is a sense for you of maybe even like wearing the Algiz rune and feeling it and just knowing. I just know that I'm protected and I'm on the right path, because at this point in time I'm being led by trust, and by that which I trust already. So maybe if you haven't done it for a while, perhaps a personal power animal or a symbol that you can wear, or you can wear the Algiz rune, and really feeling into that, I trust that I'm being led in the right way and I don't need to do anything else for it. Shelley, you've got Gibo, rune of the gift of exchange, of oath making and promises, very much about balance. This brings me right back to Thor talking about the wisdom to work together. And what I'm feeling here is that sense in which it's an interplay between the Ewaz rune and the Gibo rune. So Ewaz invites us to renew partnerships, to be flexible, to say, is this what I really need right now? Is this relationship working for me? Can I flex it and can I change it? And the Gibo rune is about that which has been structured as is expected. It's like, I expect you to show up in this way, and if you don't, I'm a bit surprised. Why is that? It's a bit strange. And so it's finding the balance in your interactions with people between doing what you know is expected and doing what you know in your heart is right, and allowing the Ewaz rune and the Gibo rune to talk to each other, and recognizing when it is that this is something that I know in the back of my head, this is what people expect me to do or how they expect me to be, and yet my instinct is telling me something different. I'm calling on the Gibo rune and the Ewaz rune to support you in navigating that place, and recognize that when you do that, if you imagine that your Gibo rune then extends downwards, it's the top of it, extends downwards, and it forms the Manaz rune, the rune of sovereignty. So it's actually, I think, suggesting to you that by looking at the Gibo rune and the Ewaz rune together, and these different forms of, you might think of that as like codified expected partnership and instinctive intuitive partnership, bringing those together, that's where you're going to find your sovereign power. So play with them. Apologies, my screen keeps shuffling up, so I'm really worried that I'm going to miss somebody. I asked my runes who would like to work with me this week, and Rado came forward. So Sally Ann for that. Well, I'm going to actually direct you to what I gave for Suzanne, because I think that's really relevant. That sense of creating ritual that sustains and supports is what I'm feeling, and recognizing that when you do that, it's trusting that what I've put in place will take me in the right direction. So I don't need to rush it. Particularly, I've mentioned that we're getting those rushing energies. You don't need to rush it. Trust that the rituals, the support, the structure that you put in place for yourself is going to support you, and that it's the right one. And you don't need to rush forward as that Ewaz energy gathers pace, and as Odin's doing his thing. Cheryl, you've got Perthrow. This is, again, much more flowing. The word surrender comes to mind, much more. There is a play to it. I'm almost feeling voice work could be really useful for you this week, Cheryl. Perthrow is sometimes known as the rune of the song, playing games, really important as well. Opening to the energy of Perthrow and to opportunity. It's saying look for opportunity through the course of this week. Don't be like, I need opportunity to come. No, that's why we do the play. No, that's why we do the play and the singing and the games and sort of looking around and just being really open, allowing yourself to open to that Perthrow rune. And when opportunity presents itself, again, not freezing. Oh, what might this mean? Curiosity, bringing that curiosity and that play to opportunities as they present themselves. Just little invitations, could be anything. Somebody just saying, I'd love to have a cup of tea or something like that. Yeah, that would be lovely. Really, should we try and go somewhere new that we've not been before? That'd be fun. It's that sort of thing. How can I bring that Perthrow energy in? It has, it keeps on blipping up from us. So sorry. Let me see. Oh, who have we missed? Oh, okay, there we are, Cheryl. Apologies, everybody. It doesn't normally do this. Suzanne says, got turquoise sending Fehu healing the other day. Love working with colour. Definitely deeper magic. So that's wonderful. And seasons of each of us, where we fall in season, winter, personal, spring. Yes, absolutely. Eric says, shape-shifting with Loki through sacred embroidery. Yeah. Elaine says, you've got the Northis rune. Northis rune of necessity, of desire. This again is actually calling you back into instincts. It's a little bit like we had with Ewaz, that sense, and Algiz as well, that sort of, and Suelo, the sort of instinct, for trusting yourself, knowing that everything's going to be fine. But for Northis, it's trusting your gut. This does not feel good. If it does not feel good, fix it, change it, do what needs to be done. When I'm eating something, that doesn't feel good. When I feel like, I want a glass of water, drink the glass of water. When I feel like I am tired, go to sleep. As much as you possibly can, allowing your needs to be met. Fehu so profoundly requires us to differentiate between the things that we think that we want and the things that we actually want. And when it's partnered with Northis, that comes through really strongly. So it's like, absolutely trust your instincts, listen to your body. Really important at the moment. If you're not doing it already, take your vitamins, all of those things. Really feeling into, what do I need in order to be okay at this time? What does my body need? Very much about the body there, Elaine. And that will build you up. You'll be, more able to to flow with the weird as the current goes faster. But yes, north is calling you inwards to your body. Suzanne says, I think we need to just say one rune for these reasons. I think, Suzanne, you may be right. We have so many people coming now that it's very difficult to manage when people are having dual runes. So yes, I will try and put that in the Middle Earth readings instructions as well, to say please just bring the one, because otherwise I'm going to get confused. Patricia says, I have a dual personality. When I adorn myself for the festivals we go to, I become a different person in a more playful way. And I'm this week planning costumes. Oh, wonderful. That is great. Hargala seems very apt. Yes. Changing, shifting. Jen says, thank you. Shelley says, oh my, it's profound. I'm glad that it was. Felicity, yes. Lisa, when I drew it, I got an aurochs and a wallow and a join me feeling. Oh, yes, I think so too. And maybe that's all, because I felt as if there's something that I didn't say around urus for Diane. And I think maybe, Lisa, that's it. It is that rather than encountering the aurochs as a human encountering the aurochs, it's almost encountering the aurochs as another aurochs encountering the aurochs, and just saying, yeah, let's wallow. So I thank you, Lisa, for sharing that, because I did feel as if there was something that didn't come through. So there we are. Thank you so much. I've had to go pretty quickly today just because of where we are today. So thank you so much to everybody. I think I hit everyone again. Tiny technical blips, not like I've been experiencing, but we're still getting tiny little ones as Odin, I'm not going to say Odin stutters back into life. Well, I've said it now, haven't I? Odin stutters back into life. I've said it, but clearly that's not what I mean, because he's Odin, doesn't stutter back into life. But he's gaining momentum. So thank you everyone for your patience when we had some blips there. Elaine says spot on, thank you. And Sally Ann says thank you. Good, lovely to see everybody. I will see you all very soon in the hearth space. We will be introducing our theme. I will be introducing our theme. We're going to be working with Mimir, and our theme is wisdom. So get your wisdom hats on. Mimir is coming. And I look forward to our first class on Friday, for those of you who'll be joining me on Friday. But I will do also the introduction will come later in the week. It's not scheduled, I'll just put it in, do a live about Mimir and wisdom that you can watch in your own time. And yes, we have some lovely classes coming up to you for those of you who are either already signed up and you come every month, or for those of you who think, yeah, this might be my month to come and enjoy some of the Hearth Space Inner Circle classes. So see you all very soon.